Hey, good morning, everybody. So today I'm going to go over some of these more difficult questions when you're solving a system of equations using elimination. I went ahead and copied down this example from IXL here. So just a quick reminder, when you have equations in standard form, which again, it's something more it's a form that you're going to learn more about in Algebra 1, ax plus by equals c, then an elimination would be a good method to solve the system of equations. Elimination is also a good method to use when you have opposites, and that's the important thing. Elimination needs to have opposites because obviously in math, opposites cancel out, they eliminate. So if you guys notice the system of equation, both of the equations are in standard form, ax plus by equals c, 2x plus 10y equals 16, negative 4x minus 9y equals 1. However, we do not have opposites. So what we're going to have to do is we're actually going to have to create opposites. Let me go ahead and write that down. So here we are going to have to create opposites. Because we don't have any, we can create some. And if you notice, the x's, we have positive 2x and then we have negative 4x. If I could just turn this negative or this 2x into a positive 4x, then it would cancel out with the negative 4x. So what I am going to have to do is I'm going to get this first equation, 2x plus 10y equals 16. And again, remember that my goal is to convert this 2x into a 4x. So that way we have opposites with negative 4x and they will cancel out, they will eliminate. So in order to change 2x to 4x, we have to multiply by 2. However, an equation is pretty complicated, okay? Not really. I shouldn't say pretty complicated. An equation, I mean, what you do to one side, you do to the other side. That's something you've been told since like 6th grade. However, you also have to keep in mind that the left side also has the 10y. So what I like to tell my students every year is just multiply everything in the equation by 2, okay? So I am going to multiply the 2x, the 10y, and the 16, because what you do to one side, you do to the other side, and you have to remember that the left side has 2x and 10y, so you got to make sure that you multiply everything by 2. So now what's going to happen is 2 times 2x is 4x. I'll have the opposites, but remember you're changing the entire equation by multiplying it by 2. So now 2 times 10 is 20, and we have y equals, and 16 times 2 is 32. So now I have created my opposites. So now I can go ahead and get my second equation, which is negative 4x minus 9y equals 1. And I can combine those because they're in standard form, and now I have opposites. So because we already have opposites, I'm just going to add everything. So 4x plus negative 4x, those are opposites, so they cancel out, they eliminate. And then we have 20y plus negative 9y. Ooh, that is 11y. And then 32 plus 1 is 33. And now what ends up happening when we have elimination is one of the variables will cancel out. In this case, my x is canceled out. And then I have y. That should always happen. One of the variables should cancel out, and you should still have the other variable. So since I already have, or since I still have y, then I'm going to solve for y. And this is a simple 6th grade one-step equation. I got to get rid of the 11 with the y, which means 11 times y. So I do the opposite, which is divide by 11 to both sides, because what you do to one side, you do to the other. And we get that y equals 3. Now that I know that y is 3, you have to go back and solve for the other variable. So in this case, now I'm going to solve for x. And you have to go back to your original equation. So I'm going to go back to those two, and I'm going to look at these equations, and remember that we're trying to solve for x. So I am looking at the second equation, and I don't want to use that one because it has a negative. And as soon as there's a negative, mistakes tend to happen. So I would rather use the second equation, or the first equation. So I'm going to copy it down. So 2x plus 10y equals 16. And since I know that y is 3, then I am going to replace y with the 3. So we have 2x plus 10 times y, so times 3. For some reason, my pen doesn't let me do it. I'm so good. And then equals 16. And that's what happens. Once again, we don't have a y because we replaced it with 3 because y is 3. And now we should be able to solve this equation for x. So I'm going to leave the 2x alone and then multiply 10 times 3, which is 30. And now this is a 7th grade two-step equation. We have to try and get x by itself. Keep in mind that x is being multiplied by 2 and then added by 30. So we got to get rid of that plus 30 first. So we're going to subtract 30 to both sides. And we get 2x, these cancel, equals 16 minus 30 is negative 14. Use a calculator, by the way. Okay, even myself, I'm kind of having to think about it. So use that calculator. And now we got to divide both sides by 2. And 2 divided by 2 makes a positive 1. And then negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. So now that I have my x and my y, we're going to write our answer as a point. So negative 7 comma 3. I know that a lot of you guys just go ahead and type that into iExcel without double checking. It's very important that you guys get to checking. And what you have to do is when you plug in negative 7 for x and 3 for y to both equations should balance out. So once again, my first equation was 2x plus 10y. 2x plus 10y equals, what was it, 16? And then the second equation was negative 4x minus 9y equals 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to plug in these values for x and for y. So for x, we're going to plug in negative 7, and for y, we're going to plug in 3. So once again, for y, we're going to plug in 3, and for x, we're going to plug in negative 7. Oops. And it should balance out both equations. So 2 times negative 7 plus 10, and then for y times 3. And I'm going to put a question mark. We're trying to see if it'll balance out with 16. So first, we got to do some PEMDAS. And in this case, multiplication will come first. So 2 times negative 7 is negative 14. Plus 10 times 3 is 30. And now we do addition. Negative 14 plus 30, they're different signs. So we subtract and keep the sign of the larger number. So that is 16. So these two values balance out the first equation. And once again, we got to make sure that it also balances out the second equation. So for x, I am going to still plug in negative 7. And then for y, I am still going to plug in 3. So negative 4 times, or I'm going to write this out, negative 4 times negative 7 minus 9 times 3. And we're going to put a question mark. Does that equal 1? So once again, we got to do multiplication first. So here, negative 4 times negative 7 is positive 28 minus, and then 9 times 3 is 27. And 28 minus 27 is 1. So when x is negative 7 and y is negative 3, it balances out both equations. So the correct solution is negative 7 comma 3. But keep in mind that sometimes we're not going to have opposites. So we're going to have to do some math to one equation to then create opposites. Okay, so my answer was negative 7 comma 3. Oops.